The perfect man to succeed Jurgen Klopp goes by the name of Ruben Amorim. The Portuguese has already won a staggering 5 trophies in his short managerial career, ending the club's 19-year wait for a title. But the main reason why Amorim is the perfect man to replace Jurgen Klopp is his style of play. Sporting play a high line under him, they build up from deep and they press from the front. 3 traits to his team that are very similar to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. So if he were to join Liverpool, the players would have a much easier transition when adjusting to his style of play. So that leaves the question, how does this Sporting side set up under Amorim, and how are these Sporting players similar to Liverpool's? Sporting set up in a 3-4-3 formation under Amorim, and let's talk about the 3 centre-backs and how they play. They are essential in build-up play, they link up with the 2 pivots, and these 5 are pivotal during build-up. And Nacial, Coates and Diamonde, they're all competent on the ball, traits that Gomez, Konate and Van Dijk all share as well, so it shows that those 3 would be able to function in an Amorim system. Also, Nacial and Diamonde, they're quick, they're able to cover the wide areas when the fullbacks of Catamo and Santos push forward. And what do Liverpool have with Van Dijk, Gomez and Konate? Pace. So who's ever playing as the left and right centre-back would be able to cover those wide areas. The only taint on the current Liverpool 3 defenders is that none of them are left-footed, and Nacial is a left-footed left centre-back, and Liverpool need to dip into the market to sign a player like him, or potentially him, and maybe Amorim would lure him over to Anfield, because in a back 3 you can't have 3 right-footed centre-backs, it just doesn't really work, so Liverpool have to address that. So now let's move on to Sporting's double pivot of Hjulmand and Morita and talk about how they set up in this Sporting system. So Amorim always sets up with a defensive-minded pivot and a pivot who offers support to players in the final third. So Morita will push forward when Sporting have the ball, offer support to these players, and Hjulmand will tuck into a more central position to add that defensive presence and add that defensive solidity in midfield. So who can portray that Hjulmand role at Liverpool? So it'd either be Endo or Bajcetic. Bajcetic, a brilliant up-and-coming talent, brilliant on the ball, brilliant in the challenge. He's 6'1", so he can win those aerial duels, so composed. I think he would excel in that role if Amorim were to join Liverpool, and obviously Endo as well. Less competent on the ball, but a brilliant ball winner, and we've seen this season as he's played really well for Liverpool. So who could play that Morita role, you may ask? There's only one man, Alexis Mac Allister. Alexis Mac Allister is a brilliant player. He's played in the 6, he's played in the 8, he's played in the 10, and he's played competently in all 3 positions, and he's played as part of a double pivot, especially at Brighton, so I could see him excelling in this system, in that role where he starts off in a double pivot and pushes forward to support the players in the final third. Now let's move on to Sporting's wing-back pairing of Catamo and Santos and how they function within this team. Santos and Catamo bomb on down the flanks, whip balls into the area for the Sporting forwards to feed upon. Very reminiscent of Liverpool from 2017 till 2023 when both Trent and Robertson adopted this approach. And talking about Robertson, he's very similar to Santos. They both offer very similar qualities. They're both good at driving with the ball, they're both good at whipping balls into the box, and they both got a bit of pace about them. And if Amorim wasn't happy with Robertson, he's got Tsimikas, and if he wasn't happy with Tsimikas, he could dip into the market for a wing back, or he could look at the youth academy and see if there's any prospects there. So on the left hand side, Amorim is pretty sorted if he joins Liverpool. However, over on the right hand side, it's a bit of a sticky situation because Catamo is a left-footed right back, and what did Liverpool not have? A left-footed right back, so he's going to have to do some tweaking here. So the first option is to go with Conor Bradley. He would operate in the same way that Catamo does by bombing on down the flank and whipping balls into the box, except from the fact he is not left-footed, and he would offer the same threat that Robertson would on the left-hand side. So that could work for Liverpool because we know how good of a player Bradley is, and we know how similar he would play to Catamo, apart from the fact he is not left-footed. Option 2 is playing Trent Alexander-Arnold, the generational talent within this Liverpool team. I think this is the best option. Yes, Trent, we've seen him bomb on down the flank and whip balls into the box, but he's best within this region, where he almost has the license to tuck into the midfield when needs be and drift out wide when needs be. And he can dictate play from this region and be super effective. So I think if he was playing in this region, Amorim would have to tweak his system a little bit because obviously Catamo likes to bomb on. Maybe you could see something like Robertson take up a more advanced position on a more permanent basis, and Morita shift over, which would be Mac Allister, Hjulmand shift over, which would be either Endo Bajcetic, and Trent shift into this position to dictate play. So there's obviously tweaks will have to be made if you're going to accommodate Trent, but come on, it's the only real option because this man has to find a spot into this team. The only other option is maybe playing him over Morita and playing Mac Allister in the more defensive role, but then you're restricting Mac Allister, and I think Trent would work out here in an Amorim system with a few tweaks. And finally, let's touch upon the forward line and detail how they all operate. So Gyökeres, he plays in a very similar fashion to Núñez. They both like to run in behind, they both like to run the channels, and they both like to get into the box and get on the end of crosses. So if Amorim does join Liverpool, he's got his ready-made replacement ready for him. That is a lot of readies, but Amorim will be ready once he joins Liverpool, especially within that region there, because they both play in such a similar way. Although where this man excels and where Núñez does struggle is by dropping into this space here. Gyökeres is excellent at dropping into this region, receiving the ball with his back to goal, laying it off to others and turning and running in behind. And Núñez does need to work on that, as his link-up play and his build-up play and his ball control is not the greatest, whereas Gyökeres is much more polished in that department. However, bar that, they operate in the same way. So like I said, Amorim, you've got your ready-made replacement. And if you don't like him, you've got Diogo Jota. And if you don't like him, you've got Cody Gakpo. And if you don't like any of them, for some weird reason, because they're three very good players in their own right, you can dip into the market or the youth academy to sign someone who you'd like. So now let's move on to the two wide players of Goncalves and Edwards, and they play very unique roles. Sometimes they'll drop deep to receive the ball from midfield, sometimes they'll make runs in behind to stretch the back line, and on occasions they'll drift out wide to receive the ball there. However, this doesn't happen very often due to the wing backs providing the width down the flanks. So most notably, they operate in the half space and in the channel, and they are super effective there. And you're probably thinking, wouldn't Salah and Diaz thrive in that region? Yes, they would, because they're very effective as well at running in behind in these sort of spaces here. Although, like I said, Edwards and Goncalves do drop deep to receive the ball from the midfield players, and that's where Salah and Diaz struggle, especially Salah. He's very ineffective in this region. You want him making runs in behind, or you want him out here supplying balls through to the striker. When he's in this region with his back to goal and multiple men around him, he does tend to struggle. And that's where someone like Harvey Elliott would excel. So Harvey Elliott may be better suited to playing in this position in that aspect. However, Harvey Elliott doesn't offer the same sort of threat in behind, because he doesn't have the pace to run in behind defences and get on the end of balls in behind. Goncalves, he operates in the same fashion as Edwards, and Luis Diaz operates in the same fashion as Salah. But Diaz is probably better suited to receiving the ball to feet in the sort of region here and dropping deep, and he can also run in behind. So maybe he is better suited to this system than Salah, but obviously Salah's a quality player and he will probably start over Elliott. Whereas Diaz, although he is very good at playing in this system, well, the supposed system from Amorim, I think Szoboszlai would be a better fit, because Szoboszlai's played out on the left for Hungary. He knows how to operate in that left channel, in that left half space, and he's very good at dropping in, receiving the ball, because he has almost a free roam role at times when playing for the national team. And he's also got the pace to run in behind and exploit the defence. So maybe Szoboszlai would be better suited than Diaz out there, and maybe Elliott in some aspects, as I said, would be better suited than Salah. But Salah and Diaz, they're the main wingers for Liverpool at the moment, and it would be hard to displace them. But Amorim may have multiple tricks up his sleeve, and we may see completely different players in these positions. Jones could also operate out there, because he's played as a left 8 for Liverpool, who tends to drift out into these positions, and he has also played out left for Liverpool. So Liverpool have got Jones, Szoboszlai, Diaz, Salah and Elliott, who can all play in these two positions, along with Jota and Gakpo as well. Yes, they're not super effective out on the right. Yes, they are on the left, but I don't know whether they would work as well as Szoboszlai or Diaz in that position. But Liverpool have got a ton of options, and they can really make use of Amorim's system with those players. But before we wrap up, let's detail Sporting's defensive shape. So Sporting defend in a 5-2-3, they're nice and compact, and they try and restrict balls from going through central areas. However, they're not a traditional low block. You may think 5 at the back, they're sitting deep, they're waiting for the team to come onto them. No, that's not the case. These 5, the 3 forwards and the 2 pivots, they'll look to press and stop the ball from going into the second phase. They'll press as a unit, and the back line will press as a unit. If the ball bypasses the first press, then it goes onto the back line, and the back line don't sit off. They're very proactive. You'll see the wing back with Catamo or Santos looking to press the winger. You'll see Coates, for example, looking to press the striker if he does drift into this sort of position here, or if he does drift out there, he'll follow him. They're not afraid. They like to stay proactive, and they like to press in those regions. So as you can see, despite the fact they set up in a very defensive shape on paper, the way they defend is very proactive, and is somewhat similar to the way Liverpool defend, because Liverpool press as well. They don't sit off and let the opposition come onto them. And that is why these Liverpool players are best suited to Amorim's system over any other manager. Pressing when defending, playing a high line, building up from deep, and as you can see, the personnel that Liverpool have would slot perfectly into most of these positions in Amorim's Sporting team. So as you can see, he does look like an ideal candidate. Comment down below if you think he'll join Liverpool, and if you do you think he'll succeed? And comment down below if you don't want him at Liverpool, and give your reason why. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.